Okay. Wrong button. There we go. Okay. Closer to being done with this part. Okay. Oh yeah, still gotta do that part. Almost forgot. Shouldn't be too big of a deal since it's daytime. Hello, hello. Why is my chat all messed up on the screen? There we go. So weird. Wonder why it's doing that. Oh, you're talking about Hetty itself? As far as I'm aware of, FAF is still working on it, but it's basically locked. Like, whoever is supporting it behind the scenes, they're the only ones that have access to it. And if it does get finished, he'll likely um, put it up for sale for people to buy. But that's pretty much it as far as I'm aware. I don't know if there will be any changes to that, but from the last time it was discussed, that's as far as I know about it. So, odds are it'll be some time before it ever comes back. Unless, I don't know, whatever I'm doing with Hetty sparks interest, and that'll cause FAF to bring her back. But who knows? I'm just doing this for fun. I mean, I think it's being worked on. I have no idea anymore. Because one of the times he talked about it was like that some people were losing interest in it, and if enough people lose interest, then he's just going to stop it or something like that. But I have no idea. I have no idea if it's worth his time, especially since he's been putting time into the whole 3D animation stuff. So I have no idea if he's like working on it on and off, or if he's just kind of put it on hiatus. I don't know. I assume he's still working on it. But I have no idea. But I'm just gonna assume he's still working on it. But in the meantime, I am doing my own headcanon / crossover with her. So if people don't mind my sloppy seconds of the character, then there we go. I don't know. Because I know that all it's gonna take, like, if it was done and he does eventually put it out, or if one of the people supporting it has all the pages and stuff like that, all it's gonna take is for one of them to leak it online for people to get, and then that's kind of it. So like, one person could potentially buy it, leak it, and then that's the end of it. Or I'm sure more than one person would buy it, but that might be the fear. And if it's not done, then that will potentially keep people around to pay for, like, to stay within the A Club thing until it's done. But the downside is, if he's taking his time completing it, like he's only doing like a page, like let's just say for example he's only doing a page a month or something, and he's just taking his sweet time to get wherever he's getting and then finish it or something, then that just tries on the patience of the A Club. So it's like, okay, how long are they going to keep supporting it before they're kind of just over it, type of thing. So it's kind of like a time limit as well, if he's not giving it enough attention. But again, this is all just an assumption. Like, we'll never know unless somebody from A Club says something about it. and then we have to assume that whatever it is they're saying is true. But I think at this point, if people want to see more Hetty, then they should just draw it themselves. Or make their own version of Hetty. Or, you know, like Hetty-inspired story and characters. In this crossover, I've thought about it, but because like part of me wants it to take place. Okay, so what I'm doing with Hetty and Jimmy at the moment, this takes place basically at the beginning of Part 9, because that's as far as I was able to get. Part 9, like the first 2 pages or so. And then with Marci and Skylar, my original thought was having it take place right after, or sometime after the end of Volume 1. Not when they're married and all that, but like shortly after Marci, you know, first puts on weight and all that. And it can go 2 ways. Either it can go by the canon of both stories and just kind of combine them together, or I can take bits and pieces of their canon and then just make shit happen after a certain point. So with Tiffany and Blake appearing, technically, if we're going off of the canon of Marci and Skylar's story, they would not appear if we're making this happen. Especially since the whole point is that they're supposed to be going to like a resort. So Tiffany and Blake appearing wouldn't even make sense to begin with. Hello, Heron. Hello, hello. So yeah, that's basically how it would have to work. No, they are not brother and sister. They are boyfriend and girlfriend with an asterisk, because at least the part that I've read up to, their relationship was starting to strain a bit. But I have my own headcanon of how certain things should play out, which thankfully I will be able to do in this comic. So once we get there, that'll be the fun part. So yeah. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so they are basically done, but I still have to do the background and the lighting. And the background is going to be a challenge. Because I have to look at all of the references I was able to get of the background. Which was not easy. Because sometimes the background would change color. So I have to decide what version of the background we're using, or I'm going to use. And it looks like it's going to be this version. Okay. So, need to get some color reference. I'm only going to use as much information as necessary. Because it'll be a while, but they're not going to be here too long. But still need it. It was 3D, but some of the colors kept changing around, or some objects were transparent and then not transparent, or objects that were around are no longer around. Like like in chapter 10 or in part 8 there are bags on the counters and a bunch of garbage and stuff. But then that changes even though the same amount of props and dishes are still there. So it's kind of like some stuff got changed over time, but it's like a short amount of time. So it's like, okay, maybe Jimmy cleaned up a bit, so that can take that into account. But in part 5, the counters are red, but then they changed into white in another situation, or that in one chapter the fridge is white, but then it changes to like a tan color. So the best I can do is just pick like the latest version of the kitchen and go off of that. And then that's basically it, really. Like after that, it's pretty much up to me on what happens. Do I want it to look like that, or do I want it to be more of a yelling type of scenario? It might be better to make it match, so I'll keep the walls, but I'll have to tweak it. So yeah, I'll keep the overall color and then we'll just build on it. So yeah, there's just some small inconsistencies here and there. So it just kind of depends on what was changed. Because yeah, like the cabinets changed over time. They weren't the same. Because I'm looking through the kitchen right now in one chapter, but in chapter 8 it's different. Yeah, especially the cabinet by the kitchen door. That one changes completely. So yeah, I just gotta do what I can. And this last panel can be its own thing. At least there's reference, but sometimes you gotta look around. Plus their heights change quite a bit, because in one chapter the chairs are bigger than them when they're sitting, but in another chapter their chairs are about up to their shoulders. But in one chapter they're like the top of the chair is like above their heads. So the kitchen itself is just a bit inconsistent. Okay, look at this fridge. Don't think I need that right now. I mean, it happens to everybody. It's not like a horrible thing. I know my proportions are shit, so I'm in no position to speak. But I'm gonna try to get as close as I can. And I think it's a little bit longer than that. I am dreading drawing the background behind them. behind Hetty. Right here, because there's supposed to be like a picture of grapes on the wall about where Hetty's head is. Jimmy's a bit further away from it. Alright, so where'd I have him? It's about there, so let's say it's about here. Hello, hello. So yeah, I'm just drawing this cabinet over here. I think there was like another shot of this cabinet. I think there was like one where it had a mirror, but it's not appearing in this one. I'd probably have to look for it. Is that it? Yeah, it is. Okay, it doesn't have a reflection or a window or a mirror, glass door. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. No, it doesn't. Okay, it's just a regular cabinet. But yeah, quite a few things shifted. Alright, so this picture of grapes over here. Don't know if I'll look for the same picture or just grab it from that. We'll see what I feel like doing. It's a little bit higher, so we'll tweak that. I know this isn't going to be super consistent, but I'm going to try. Just going to do what I can. It's a little bit too much. That should be fine. But yeah, basically it just this is taking place like at part 2 or page 2 of part 9. So anything after that is basically up to my interpretation. Is that a door? Yes, that is a door. Is the door fancy at all? No. Alright, and here's the hard part. Just gonna take my time. See if there's another shot of the room. Okay, that's about as good as it's gonna get. I could do it this way. I think the question is like, where in the house is this? Because you don't really get a shot of where everything goes in the house. So I'm gonna have to just make some guesses. In the meantime, let's play this. And I think that's supposed to be a light switch over there. I'm gonna try not to make the door frame too thick compared to the source. It's Hetty. Okay, so that's where that is. So corner of the wall would probably be about here. And there should be like some kind of switch thing that's over here. It could be a security thing, but I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Trying to see if it appears in another shot. I don't see it. Oh well. Okay, da-da-da. Probably erase that line if I have it bleed into the other room. Yeah, it looks like it bleeds into the other room. So we can erase these. I know I don't have to go this hard into it, but I still want to try. And looks like there's like an arch that's about over here. But I don't know where this leads. Because in this comic, she goes, or in this part, she goes down the stairs, walks past this area. So wherever the stair, it's hard to tell where the stairs leads to the kitchen. I'm sure it shows up in like another chapter somewhere, because that's chapter 5. Let me see if it shows up in 4. Yeah, sorry for the long pauses. I'm just trying to get as much reference of the house as I can. So let's see. Okay, so by the logic I'm looking at, the bathroom is in this direction. They came through this arch, and that's where the archway is. And then this is the kitchen. So then, because I know I've seen the stairway, so I'm trying to find. Okay. So here's her going down the stairs. Bathroom. Alright. So there are 2 archways. It's hard to tell if that's supposed to be the kitchen or something else. Okay, I think I know where this is. Alright. It's probably not going to be relevant at all, but I'm just trying to figure out where everything is, because I don't have any of the references. Alright. Or this is as much of the reference as I can get. So for now I'm just gonna assume this direction is like the only path, and then the bathroom is right over there. But since that exists, that means there's at least a wall at about here. Maybe lower it just a bit. So something about here, because there's a shape, so that would have to indicate that there's another direction. So something like this. Could be wrong, but I don't have any other information. Let me see if there's anything more. Blah blah blah. Wait, now that I think about it, how the hell did Jimmy... How the hell did Jimmy go to the store and bring all of that back by himself? Oh well. Alright, so here's more of the house. That's the doorway. I guess the doorway can go both in and out. The kitchen's different again. But this was back in part 4, so gonna give it a bit of slack there. Okay, yeah, so the bathroom's there, that's there. Stairs, okay, yes. So the kitchen goes, okay. I now know where everything is. Still doesn't explain that small pathway, but that's okay. Okay, I think I have everything I need to know. It's funny how we get most of the information from chapter 4. Alright. And still need that picture frame, so let's do it this way. Once more on her side. I think it's about as good as this is gonna get. It's not gonna be perfect. It's definitely a little bit higher up. Something about there. A little bit more. Okay. Everything's like a whitish tan. It could be just the lighting for this particular scene. But looking at everything, because like the door is tanner than the cabinets. So I'm gonna try to take that into account. It's a little bit brighter. I could probably do this. Yeah, just in case I missed something. Pretty dark in that room. Hello, hello. Actually, I'll do just a little bit dark, but that's probably just because of the lighting that it's so dark over there. So I don't want to overdo it. So I'm just gonna just semi-darken it. And then this thing seems to be silver and white. Let's do it a little bit lighter. I'm gonna assume it's not being used right now, given the lighting of the room. And the floor is wood, so I can go grab some wood for that. See if I have anything that's close to that. Can't tell on these, do I? No. This one's closer, but not what I'm looking for. Let me see. Oh, something happened. Thank you for subscribing, Suncore Blade. Thank you. I was like, what the hell was that? Okay, so looking at the floor, trying to get a good look at it. Kinda looks like this texture. Might have to just pick one and go with it. I'll go with this one. Let me just save. Alright. So this is what I'm gonna use. Copy. And it's all going in that direction. Luckily I don't have to do anything crazy with the floor yet. It happens. Yeah, that should be fine. Just edits. She's fine. Okay. Alright. Got this far. Now the grapes. Let me see if I can find the same image. Not gonna look too hard, but if I can find it, that'd be neat. Grapes. Let me put my search over here so I can see. I think I'm just gonna rip it. Yeah, I'm just gonna save time and rip it. Alright. Edits. Good lord, that's as small as I can get it. Save as a copy. I'm gonna send it to my stuff. It's easier this way. Alright. So here are the grapes, I only need that part. Could probably make this look a little bit more cartoony. My avatar has different expressions. Yeah, I have 3 different outfits for her at the moment. I do want to work on another one, so I got this one, I got the nun, and I got this one. So, we'll do the nun for a while, haven't done that one. And since I am using the nun, let's swap the coffee for the thiable. There we go. Close that. Crap. Edit that. There we go. I know I'm going above and beyond for a fucking picture of grapes. But just trying to put in some effort. Alright. That should be fine. Okay. Think that's the most for the room. This one can be different for the because of the dialogue. The rest is fine. Oh, I use Vito tube for the PNG tubing. Let me spell it. Okay. Spell it like this. Let me double check, just to make sure I spelled it right. Yes. So yeah, I use this. And let me just put these in their own folder. You're welcome. Alright. Try doing this one at a time. Alright, so given his position, as well as the sun, hey Frost. Let's crank this down to 50% for now. For the most part, a good chunk of this is in shadow. And then this is going to take some tweaking, because she's in a spot where the lighting kind of acts more like a gradient. The anti-art kitty says hi. Hello, kitty. Alright. So it's darker behind the door. So I'll do this. Wrong direction. There we go. Oh, that works out. Let's try overlay. No. Soft. I think it's because there's a gradient, or not gradient, texture on the wall, so that's probably why it looks a little odd to me. So I'm gonna have to put a texture on the walls so that they look right. So I think it's just like that. Let's try 30%. So yeah, let me grab a texture to put on the walls. Doesn't look like it's anything specific. Is there anything I have that could work for it? Stripes. I need something a little bit more neutral. Oh, I know which one I can use. Yeah. One of these. Let's take a look at these two and see which one I'll pick. Okay, definitely not that. This can work, it just has to be desaturated. Yeah, it's something like that. Trying to see how strong it is. It's like kinda strong. I don't want to do too much. Yeah, it was only down for a little bit. Wasn't down that long. And then you could technically still use it, you just had to click on anything but the home page. So it technically wasn't even down. Let's try like 70%. Yeah, 70% looks about fine. Alright. And let's do the same thing to this part. Question is, should I move this to top? See how it looks. Yeah, that's probably better. This one can probably be on another layer. This is a crossover with another set of characters. So these two are from a comic called Hetty. That has to do with a wolf who basically wants to stuff herself silly with food, and so a guy, this fox guy, he has a crush on her, so he basically tells her if he stays at his place for the summer, she can basically eat like a glutton every day. And basically, up to the point that I was able to read, he's been having money troubles because she basically eats most of the food like right away. And so he's been spending a lot of money, and then he's been doing some odd jobs in order to make more money. Meanwhile, she's been hanging out with an older guy who has a lot of money because I guess he was part of a game show. And so she's been kind of sneaking behind this guy's back because they're supposed to be together. They're supposed to be boyfriend and girlfriend, at least according to each other in the comic so far, up to where I read. I don't know if that changed since then, because the comic's been away from audience for a few years now, so who knows where it is right now. But basically, she snuck off to go eat herself silly, and then I assume she got advice from the guy that she's hanging out with on how to make some money and still eat crazy. And I'm assuming it has to do with like making videos on the internet, but I have no context to that, so that's my best guess. And so I'm trying to make that part of the plot for, or not exactly the full plot, but just part of their conversation for this scene. So that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, they're from a comic called Hetty by like the artist's name is Faf, but his deviant art is Faf Comics 2, I believe. Let me see. Yes, Faf Comics 2 on DeviantArt. So, let me just grab his link. And so these are the this is the comic that basically got me to make my own set of characters. Why Marci and Skylar are a thing. Because at the time when I was reading this, I could only read up to chapter 4 because that's when the artist kind of took everything down. Because, well, not taking everything down, but he stopped uploading because he has a strict piracy policy. So he does not like people leaking his comic online. And so he just kind of took everything off. And the only things that he's posted since then have been anything that leakers have posted. So, like, because he basically made it so that if you were part of his supporting group, like the people that support the comic and fund it and stuff like that, he would make it so that each individual person had their own. Basically it's an ID. So if you were to leak his content, it would dox you. But whatever people were able to put out and try to disguise with like filters and stuff like that, that's what he would upload onto his DeviantArt. So if there was anything more to read, it would only be the leaked version, which was like blurry and had like a bunch of like graphical or like textural stuff put on it. It looks like he might have removed it now that I'm looking at it. Let's see, because Hetty, he hasn't uploaded the Hetty folder, but there's some Hetty artwork here. This is all by relevance. Let me switch it to newest, because that's pest control. Trying to see if he still has the other Hetty pages on there. Pest control. Some stuff from Vorkamp. Okay. So, from what I can find, so this is from part 4. I know he uploaded the other ones at one point, but he might have taken them off since then. Yeah, I think he's removed the leaked versions now. But yeah, he used to have them up for a while. But yeah, basically I could only read up to chapter 4, and I just said screw it, I'll make my own, and that's how Marci and Skylar became a thing. Because originally was supposed to be an entirely different story, but before I could get that started, that's when I was reading this, or reading Hetty, and here we are. All right, so let's do this panel. Because this one still needs some work done. But he did give me permission to make my own content with Hetty. So that's what I'm doing right now. Would help if I turned on the brush, wouldn't it? Should be a bit of a shadow. Nope. Would help if I changed panels. There we go. Okay, I think most of this I can darken. Just do it like this. Save me some time. Sure. Forgive me if I don't get it in advance. Alright, so did all that. Did all that. Let's just tweak this a bit. That's way too dark. Take a look. Probably lower it to about 30. Let's see how 30 looks. Be a little bit darker. Yeah, I think back to 50 is fine. Doesn't need this. I say yes, just so it keeps some color in there. Alright. That's not a bad one. That's an interesting joke. Sorry, it took me a moment to see it because it doesn't show up on YouTube's chat. Alright. Okay, so do I need to do lighting for anything? Probably just a little bit. Overlay. I'll have to try to look at that after the stream. But I gotta be careful because I don't want certain people saying things that they shouldn't be saying. But I mean, it doesn't really matter since it shows up on the Streamlabs chat. So I guess it doesn't matter. All I can do is police it if necessary. Dang, a bit of cleanup. Don't really think these need this. I'm just gonna get rid of this layer. If there's any lighting things I need to do, I can do it in a different situation. Okay. That part of the room's a little dark, but this is fine. Let me just double check some spots. Let's see if I can do this. Let me just see how it looks. Let's try this. Nah. Leave it alone. Alright, all that's left is this panel. Put it underneath so it doesn't interact with the others. This. Nah, I don't think it's my thing. Memes are very specific with me. Like, it has to, like, really be truly funny to me for me to get into it. It can't just be like any old thing. Or it can't just be like, oh, it's this, but with Pokemon, or oh, it's this, but with Thomas the Tank Engine, or oh, it's this, but with Trollface. Like, it has to be legitimate for me. I can't, like, fake it. Where was it looking for? Oh yeah, we're looking for this. Let's try this one. I think multiply is going to be the best. Might have to darken it a bit though. I do want this part to stand out. Lower them both to like 50 or 70. Maybe 70 too much? Let's see. Let's try 60. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, it should be good. All that's left is the lighting. Alright, so lighting doesn't look too crazy. Do this panel by panel. I think I'm just gonna post these when they're ready rather than separate them by gap, because this is more of a fun thing for me. So I think I'm just gonna do that. Kind of see which one of these I like more. I think I'm gonna stick to it's kind of bright in this panel. It's really hard to decide. I think I'll stick to this just because the shading is better. could up it a bit though. So that's at 100. Yeah, lower that. Can always tweak it. Let's see how this looks when I do it this way. Let's see, can I cheat it? Don't think I can cheat it. Yeah, I can't cheat it. Or I probably can, but I just don't know how to do it. I have never heard of that. A little better. Might spread this out a bit. See how I feel when I do the other panels. A lot of this is testing and trial and error and all that. So I'm trying to have it match a bit of what's happening in the comic. Or at least get close to matching. If you're talking about music, I am trying to avoid copyright stuff. So I've just been playing whatever has not been triggering it. And I do not want to risk that. Sega has been chill, so I've mostly been playing Sega music. Same thing for Bomberman. Bomberman music doesn't trigger it either, at least for now. These aren't bad. Don't know if I want to keep it. It does make the background look darker. Let me lower it to like 20. It's not too bad. What if I flip it? Yeah, this is better. Okay. Alright, so pretty much this page is done. I just gotta put in dialogue and whatnot. There might be some things I might tweak. But yeah. I'm gonna finish this up off stream. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Yakuza might be an issue because Sega's mostly chill with Sonic music. Maybe some other games here and there, I'd have to test it. Capcom's pretty chill too, it just depends on the game. Mostly Street Fighter and Mega Man seem to be fine. But yeah, Sega is pretty chill with pretty much anything Sonic related. But it's a big up in the air. But yeah, with like indie musicians and all that, you definitely want to give them credit, of course, if you play their music and all that. But it's up in the air on whether or not they trigger copyright stuff, so I'm just not gonna chance it. But yeah, anyway, thank you everybody for coming. I'm gonna finish this up off stream. I will likely post it in the morning. I'm just gonna post it on all things. I'm not gonna separate the timing with Patreon and all that, because this is a whole other side project thing. But other stuff I'm gonna work on as well, like, you know, I had Black Circus, Screamfield, blah blah blah. But yeah, thank you everybody for